Finding the market equilibrium. This little piggy went to the market. To illustrate how supply and demand curves determine the equilibrium price and quantity, we use our old friend, the processed pork example. Figure 2.6 shows the supply and demand, so supply capital S and the demand capital D curves for pork. The supply and demand curves intersect at point E, the market equilibrium, where the equilibrium price is $3.30 and the equilibrium quantity is 220 million kilograms per year, which is the quantity that firms want to sell and the quantity that consumers want to buy at the equilibrium price. Figure 2.6, market equilibrium. The intersection of the supply curve, capital S, and the demand curve, capital D, for processed pork determines the market equilibrium point E, where P equals $3.30 per kilogram and capital Q equals 200 million kilograms per year. At the lower price of P, $2 equals $2.65, the quantity supplied is only 194, whereas the quantity demanded is 233. So there is excess demand of 39. At P equals $3.95, a price higher than the equilibrium price, there is an excess supply of 39 because the quantity demanded 207 is less than the quantity supplied at 246. When there is excess demand or supply, market forces drive the price back to the equilibrium price of $3.30. In the graph, we have price per kilogram, vertical axis, and capital Q millions of kilograms of pork per year on the horizontal axis. Supply intersects demand. Supply is upward sloping. In this case, demand is downward sloping. And at these relative prices, 265, there's a excess demand, which is a shortage. And at 395, there's excess supply, which is surplus. We can determine the market equilibrium for processed pork mathematically using the demand and supply functions, equations 2.3 and 2.7. We use these two functions to solve for the equilibrium price at which the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, the equilibrium quantity. The demand function in equation 2.3 shows the relationship between the quantity of processed pork demanded, capital Q sub D, and the price, capital Q sub D, equals 286 minus 20p. The supply function in equation 2.7 describes the relationship between the quantity of processed pork supplied, capital Q sub S, and the price, capital Q sub S, equals 288 plus 40p. We want to find the price at which capital Q sub D equals capital Q sub S equals capital Q, the equilibrium quantity, because the left-hand side of the two equations are equal, and equilibrium capital Q sub S equals capital Q sub D, the right-hand sides of the two equations must be equal as well. 286 minus 20p equals 88 plus 40p. Adding 20p to both sides of this expression and subtracting 88 from both sides, we find that 198 equals 60p. Dividing both sides of this last expression by 60, we learn that the equilibrium price is P equals $3.30. We can determine the equilibrium quantity by substituting this equilibrium price P equals $3.30 into either the supply or the demand equation. Capital Q sub D equals capital Q sub S. 286 minus open parentheses 20 times 3.30 close parentheses equals 88 plus open parentheses 40 times 3.3 close parentheses 220 equals 220. Thus the equilibrium quantity is 220 million kilograms.